Okay. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the QESS ICAP Project Research Seminar. And to begin with, we are honored to have our project leader, Professor Wilma, to share a few words with us.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Today's research seminar is organized by the Quality Enhancement Support Scheme, QESS funded project. The name is quite long, the project name, Establishing the ICAP One-Stop Student Research Support Portal to improve the teaching and learning of undergraduate research projects for students and supervisors. This project is a joint collaboration between Tung College and the School of Continuing Education at Hong Kong Baptist University. The project aims to create one-stop portal to support student research, one-stop portal including the websites and the mobile apps, and enhance the teaching and learning experience for both students and supervisors involved in undergraduate research projects. I think in Tung College, we call it a capstone project in the final year. And I think it is honors project in Hong Kong Baptist University here. As part of this effort, we will be organizing a series of research seminars to promote student research within both institutions. And today is the 5th seminar and organized and hosted by the School of Continuing Education, Hong Kong Baptist University. All the previous research seminars have been recorded and are available at the project websites. You are cordially invited to join our social media, LinkedIn, and also Facebook at the end of this seminar. I will show you the QR code so that you can keep updates with the whole research project and to get the learning resources throughout the project. The project is a 3-year project from last year 2025 to the end of 2027. So welcome again. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ma. And next, we would like to invite the project's co-team leader, Dr. Heather Kwok, to present a certificate to our speaker, Dr. CHOI. And we would like to have a good photo with this certificate. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Choi and Dr. Kwok. And next, we would like to invite all our guests here to take a good photo. We'll see Professor Wilma. Just the guests first, and next. Dr. Ho. Thank you, all our guests. And next, we would like to invite our moderator today, Dr. Heather Kwok, to introduce our speaker, Dr. Choi.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this very important seminar, especially as many of you will start your honors project very soon. So may I introduce, it's my honors to introduce Dr. Choi Ming to you today. Dr. Choi is an assistant professor in the Faculty of Education in the University of Macau. His research expertise lies in physical literacy and the use of quantitative and qualitative research methods to explore how physical education pedagogies can influence motivation, physical activity, and overall quality of life. So Dr. Choi's unique approach of integrating different research methodologies not only advances our understanding of physical educations, but also provides practical insights for improving education outcome. Today, He will share his knowledge and experience on the topic, comparing and contrasting quantitative and qualitative research methods. I'm confident that Dr. Choi's insights will be invaluable as you consider the best methods for your own research projects. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Choi. Dr. Choi, please.
Hi everyone. I'm Ming Choi. From Macau. Actually, I'm Hong Kong people, but I'm working in Macau right now, and I think our experience is quite similar. I and thank you, Professor Ma and Dr. Kwok, and also Dr. Kwok behind inviting me to join this seminar, and I'm I feel honorable because I think this funding, this project is a very valuable project for undergraduate students, especially when as I mentioned, I have similar experience with you. I graduated from associate degree and then I studied in top-up degree afterwards before. And then at that moment, I never joined this seminar during my undergraduate degree. And so, and this seminar, I hope I may share some experience with you on the research area. And before I working in Macau, I pursued my study in master degree and PhD degree at CHK, and then I work as a lecturer at CHK, and then also I was a rugby coach. I don't know if any one of you play rugby, but I was a rugby coach, and oh really? Oh, someone behind is a rugby coach. I coach CHK for 7 years before I joined University of Macau. So yeah, and it's really great that yeah. So if you have any questions about research or any experience for pursuing further study, so you may ask me anytime, and I will. Yeah, I can. You may just ask me in Cantonese, and then I will respond to you afterwards. So the discussion is more important than my presentation actually. So yeah, and let's wait if we can share the. Thank you all. And yeah, today I will share about comparing and contrasting quantitative and qualitative research methods. So yeah, this is the University of Macau. So I hope every one of you can join or can visit in later times. Yeah, it's a very huge campus, like 1 kilometer square campus. Yeah, it's quite nice, and the environment is quite good. But it's located at 很淺 Island, 橫琴島啊. But this island, there's an area that is under the jurisdiction of Macau Macau SAR. So yeah, but if you want to visit, it's open for public, or you may ask Dr. Cox to organize some research trip to University of Macau. And yeah, as Dr. Kwok mentioned, I focus on physical literacy, and in a broader sense, I also interested in physical leaf framework. What is physical leaf? LEAF, physical literacy, physical education, physical activity, and physical fitness. These are my research framework, and you may also scan the QR code to see what research project I'm doing, or what paper I have published in some academic journal. You may view it in Google Scholar or ResearchGate, and these are very important tools or website for you, or social media for you to see or to check what this current scholar is doing in the research field. and in any kind of fields. Like me, I'm in the education field or social science field or some of the psychology field. So it's a multidisciplinary for me, and it's a trend to do multidisciplinary research now. So I'm including everything in my physical life framework. And so we focus on methods today and why methods matter in sports and recreation studies. And I believe most of you are in the sports and recreation leadership program, and some of the Tung College students may be focused on health science. So but I can see many of you very energetic. So I believe most of you are sports and recreations leadership program. So when we conduct the research, like for example, if you are a coach, sports coach, you have to do some decision. You have to make some decision. So what is your decision during the coaching? Why you choose this decision? And based on what evidence? Do you have any claims of effectiveness when you are making the decision? So like when I was coaching rugby, why I need to do that, or provide that fitness session? Why do I need to provide that attack structure? Why I need to conduct that defense structure? There's a decision based on the effectiveness. So we can make some claims, but the claims do not involve any evidence. Like what do I mean? The claims is the intention, but the intention is not equal to the outcome. What is an intention? We may say, I think, I want to, in Cantonese, 我想，我覺得係點。This is not about a research, but it is a good intention. Okay, the intention is good, but we cannot say 我想或者我覺得咁樣會好喎。We can't say that in research. So good intention are not equivalent to good outcomes. It can be ineffective. It can waste resources, and it can unintentionally exclude participants in research. So how can we do a better way of thinking? So in real world, we are very complex, especially in sport and recreation studies. The program involved many participants, involved many significant others like parents, like funders, or other people. So and also volunteer coaches, and we also count some attendance. We have to consider facilities we use in the community, or maybe in the stadium, or in the sports facilities, and the participants. There is also some risk to get injured during our program. So it's very complex. So how can we work on the research in sports and recreation studies? So when you have a question, we have to think about which method can solve your questions. Like if you have a program, so is the intervention effects work, or was it delivered as intent? Can the can the target of your program of your or your intervention program can deliver as you set the target, and also the context effect for whom, for when, and for why. So there are many things you have to concern, but before that you have to construct a research question first, or we can just don't mention research. What is your question? This is a very important. So in this seminar, I hope everyone can ask question. This is a very good experience. It's a very good experience when you can ask a good question. But maybe some other people think, oh, this is a stupid question. But don't worry, even a stupid question can generate some idea, or maybe some new idea. Maybe many theory, or in physics, many years ago,牛頓發現咗呢個力學，其實可能佢都係好無意中發現。Yeah, so it's all about theory and questions. And finally, how can we decide the questions or the methods is good? We mentioned credibility, 可信度. Okay, we have to use robust methods to increase the credibility of your research, and also support. This credibility can lead to support of transparent and defensible decision making, which means the results can lead to decision making, practical implications. Okay, so it's for participants, for parents, for clubs, and for funders. And by the end of this seminar, I hope, and you should be able to align questions and design. So when you have a questions, which method can solve your questions? Okay, and using quantitative or qualitative methods or designs, and you may also interpret some common results like mean, standard deviation, p-value, and effect size. But I won't teach you how to use SPSS, but you can interpret the results and judge qualitative rigor. For example, credibility, 可信度, with flexibility, triangulation, transparent analysis. Triangulation 即係三角驗證，transparent 即係透明度。So if there are some trustworthiness criteria for qualitative research, so we'll briefly go through that. And finally, to see if we have enough time to build a feasible plan afterwards, you may propose a practical quantitative or qualitative research plan. So what we will do, so I will go through the quantitative first, and then qualitative, and finally the activities. And yeah, and before we start, I would like to ask you some question using this this tool, and you may use your phone to scan the QR code, and you may scan the QR code first, and then you can see the question. You can see the question and choices on your phone, and then you may choose that which setting best matches your current experience or interest. because I want to know more about your background, and then I can focus on what I can share. Yeah. 知道咗，知道你背景啦，咁然後我就可以講多啲相關嘅例子。So besides students, what role do you do in your current experience? And I can see some of you are in the pool right now, so you may choose the wait 我一咦有冇啊？冇出嚟嘅。Yeah. Okay, so wow, I can see some of you is coaching a team or club. So is it mean school team, secondary school team, or primary school team? Yeah, school team. I did coach primary and secondary school team. Yeah, and of fitness and strength conditioning. Yeah, like more 40% of you coaching a team and 15% doing event management. Yeah. Okay. Then I can know your background and see what I can share later on. So next question. Right now, how confident are you in reading a research paper and judging whether it's good? Not confident at all. Most of you are not confident at all. But yeah, that's what I think or what I experienced during my undergraduate studies. I don't know what I was studying. Yeah, actually. Yes. And Dr. Kwok, she is my my classmate, and she was studying well, better than me. But I don't know what happened in during my undergraduate study. That's why this project is very important. Yeah. And yeah, most of you are not very confident in reading paper. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but when I study undergraduate studies, when I was doing my undergraduate studies, my lecturer and professors would encourage us to read papers through their lessons. Yeah, I can think some of them they always encourage us to read papers. Yeah, and this is an open question. In your sport, recreation, or PE setting, what is the most challenge you encounter that you'd like to investigate through research? Or a more easier way to ask you, what is your problem? Yeah, what is your problem? What? Yeah, hard English. Do you need to use English to coach or do event management? Or yeah. Only 4 participants typing. Yeah. But if you just type, yeah, you can just type anything. Yeah. I don't know who typed the answer. knowledge base not enough to use. Knowledge base. You can and you can also type Chinese. Yeah, I can read Chinese. Yeah. Knowledge base. Which kind of knowledge? The lack of PE in Hong. There are requirements for the PE times in curriculum. Try to improve my strength, but not increasing my body weight. So it's about him or herself. They always feel tired and bored. So it's about motivation. For the yeah, fear of failure. Spend many time to do class management. So some of you are focused on psychology or the coaching session or teaching sessions management. Yeah. And so these are the challenges you may face in your real context. But how can you transfer from your challenges to the questions is quite important. So we may also focus on the feasibility of the research. So is it really matters or really important for these challenges to transfer as questions, or even if it can translate it into questions, is it feasible to conduct a research? So we can consider many things when we do research. But if it's in the motivation side or confidence side, you may feel easier to conduct a research. But it's not really an intervention program, but you may also seek for some association studies. Yeah. Thank you for responses, and yeah, and I will go back to the slides first. So yeah, good. And I will use these two papers to lead my presentation and an example for my presentation. And if you have time, you can scan the QR code to have a quick look on the abstract. So the abstract is just I think it's like within 200 words and within 300 words. So it's a very you can scan the QR code and you have, I think you should have the access of this paper. And yeah, the first paper is my first PhD study, but it's a quite large scale. So you maybe not feasible for you during the undergraduate studies. And it's a quantitative one, 量化研究. So the right hand side is a qualitative one, 質性研究. Is a continuation of the first study. So the first study is investigate the sport education model on students' perceived physical literacy, motivation, and physical activity in university PE lessons. So and the second one is to see or to investigate how teachers perceive when they conduct the sport education model. So it's two different questions. The first study is about I investigate on the student's outcome. But the second is to investigate the teacher's perspective. So it's two questions. So if you're interested, you can read the full paper as well. And yeah, and also appreciate all the co-authors here. Yeah, and especially my supervisors. Yeah. So quantitative versus qualitative, when to use which methods, which approaches. And for quantitative approaches, we usually estimate the magnitude and direction of change. What it means, 上升定下跌 ，OK, increase or decrease, or 上升咗幾多，跌咗幾多，或者冇變 ，OK, so magnitude and direction of change. And the second one, compare groups. And in my papers, is comparing sport education model and control group. Okay, and also because it was an intervention study, so it's about also the time. So not about the single time point, but also a time of the change during time. So the third one, compare time. Yeah, baseline, post intervention, and follow up. So I was comparing time and group using some statistics and quantify patterns and association. At that study, I didn't focus on associations, but other design can other statistical method can in quantitative approaches can quantify some patterns and association, but not in this example. Yeah, and support decision with summary indicators. I use mean standard deviation, p-value, and effect size at the time. Quite easy to interpret. Yeah, but I will show you later on. And for qualitative approaches, okay, when you need to understand how and why outcomes occur, okay, the mechanisms, the meanings, the context of your research or of your question you want to solve, and explain mechanism and constraints like assessment, misalignment, or role responsibility in my studies. When the teachers or when the lecturers using the sport education model in the PE lesson, what is their constraints? Is there any difficulties during the teaching? Or is the teaching method misaligned with the assessment? And it is very the misalignment is difficult to measure or difficult to collect data from quantitative approaches, and that's why I need to use qualitative approaches. And for the responsibility, we are hardly to quantify the responsibilities or teaching loads or some other about teaching or role in quantitative one. So I have to ask the participants what are their roles, yeah, in using interviews, yeah, and they can describe they can describe their experience during the teaching or during their preparation or after the teaching, what they perceive, what did they perceive the students' outcome, okay? And we can also identify some implementation barriers and facilitators. So what makes it work? So any supports from the university or any support from the departments or any support from the supervisor or any support from the colleagues. And we may also generate or refine some theory and inform program improvements. So usually when we conduct a study, we design our research as theory-based or theory-driven studies. And when we use a theory, we have to contribute in some new knowledge about the theory. So what knowledge adds in that theory? Or we may, in an easier way, we can examine if the theory, is it the same in different contexts. And this is also another contribution for conducting a qualitative research. So, and if this theory can inform any program improvements. And the last one, produce an interpretive implementation model. So if you are not refining the theory, but you can suggest some model or framework. So I suggested a receptivity typology. So they have different type of change in an easier way to understand different type of change. What factors can affect their change of teaching ways? So when we compare different approaches, quantitative or qualitative, so different questions. First, we have different questions and use different approaches to generate different evidence. Yeah, this is how we decide quantitative or qualitative. So at this moment, do you have any questions? Yeah. No, everyone can understand what I talk, right? Okay. So it's a huge table. Yeah, but we can see on the left-hand side, the features first. What is the difference in quantitative or qualitative studies? We can see the features: aim, questions, data, logic, criteria, strength, limits, and outputs. And so a quick look, like 30 seconds or 1 minute. Yeah. Quick look. Yeah. Quantitative, and then the right-hand side is qualitative. Yeah. For the primary aim, the quantitative study, as I mentioned, estimates effects, associations, and also some variability. Okay. For the qualitative, we understand experience, meaning, process, and context. This is what I mentioned in the last slides. But how about the questions? How about the questions? In quantitative, in my papers, does the intervention improve physical literacy? This is a very short question, but if you ask in this way, it's more likely to be a quantitative approaches. So how big is the difference? So it's about the magnitude and the direction of change. But in qualitative, how is teaching experience? So we use how to ask the question, or why do people use the teaching method? Like usually we ask how and why in qualitative studies, but we ask improve or decrease or how big the magnitude. Yeah. And for the quantitative studies, when we use some different kind of data collection methods, and at last we will collect some data in numbers form, like how many, what is the scores and the rates, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Likert scales, that kind of scores. And in qualitative, we use words or observations, like using interviews, focus groups, or field notes. You can make some notes during your observations. And you can also cross-check with some documents, like curriculum documents or other things. Yeah, any kind that would support your studies is good. Yeah, and the logic, for the quant sampling logic. So how can we collect data from how many participants? So in quantitative studies, we usually calculate the sample size. I usually use a software called G-Power, and I think some of you may heard about that. it's based on your design. Like if it's a cross-sectional studies, you can just input some information like your population size, your expected power, expected confidence interval, and then the software will provide you a number that you should, how many participants you should invite for the study. And also statistical representativeness disorder. Yeah, that's what I mean when I mentioned the G power. And for the qualitative, you comparative with quantitative, you can invite smaller and information-rich samples. We can also use some purposive sampling. So when you invite that participant, you can justify why you invite him or her. And for the quality criteria, we usually check the reliability, the validity, and the bias control, and also how precise you do in the quantitative approaches. And for the qualitative, I mentioned the credibility, reversibility, transparency, and triangulation. Yeah. And for the strength, it's easier to compare when we use the numbers or use the data, use the numerical results. We can easier to see is increasing or decreasing, or we can check the effect size. I will mention later on, and the general patterns, how for example, the sport education model increase at which time. So like in the sport education model, the physical activity level, self-report physical activity level in the intervention group at the post-intervention time compared with control group is similar. But in the follow-up period, the intervention group is significantly higher than the control group. And this is is easier. It is an easier way when we compare the results using numbers or graphs. And in qualitative, we use word to generate some. We use words to generate some mechanism, context, and implementation insight. So we have to analyze the words the participant told us during the interview, and we have to we have to translate into wordings based on their voice, and then we have to analyze what they said in the interview. So and compare each different participants to see, oh, there's a mechanism when they decide which methods they're using, or how many percent of or what is the intention of they use the new methods. Yeah. And for the limitation, the quantitative, the numerical results may miss some meaning or context. So we have to justify or explain how your results can help to use in a wider context. And also you have to consider if your results are causal or are in a causal relationship. But it depends on design. So if you are using one single time point data, it's usually we are usually difficult to generate causal relationship, 因果關係, but only associations. So it depends on our design. I will also talk about some how we can decide which methods can generate a causal relationship. And for the qualitative data, the limitation is we are hardly to design a statistical generalization, and it depends on analytic rigor. So we have to use some this kind of methods to increase the rigor. And the output I mentioned is, the quantitative is about the effect size, and for the qualitative one, it's about the themes and the conceptual models and how we can explain their narratives. So how we can decide which method we are using. So first, the questions, and the second, the methods. And we can choose methods based on the decision you need to make and the uncertainties you may reduce. That is the feasibility. So first ask a question and then choose a method, but the method should be feasible. So in my studies, the quantitative question is, does the sport education model increase physical activity levels at follow-up relative to control or compared to control group? So we can hardly ask this question. We can still ask in qualitative way. So if we ask in the qualitative way, is based on your observation, how do you perceive the student's physical activity time is increase or decrease? Based on your observation, based on the teacher's observation. It can still ask in the qualitative way, but for the feasibility one, we can hardly to verify the teacher's responses, but we can check, we can quantitatively measure the physical activity levels of the students, like using a accelerometer or like using some questionnaires that is validated. And the second question, does the sport education model reduce disempowering motivational climate over time? So empowering 即係賦權，disempowering 即係唔賦予權利，即係唔會俾一啲自主嘅空間佢哋。咁so reduce disempowering motivational climate is a good things. So this kind of questions can be asked in, or this kind of data can be collected by using the quantitative approaches. But the second one, the qualitative one, how it is implemented and why does it succeed or stall? How do lecturers conceptualize physical literacy and operationalize it through the sport education model? So it's about how the lecturers believe on the concept, and how can the lecturers use this concept or to apply this concept in the lessons. So we don't have any questionnaires to ask the lecturers. That's why we need to use the interview. And what can contextual constraints to shape fidelity? So we have to ask teachers to see what is the constraint, what is the difficulties of using the new teaching models. We can also use a Google form to ask them, but it's still worse. But their response is still worse, not the numerical responses. But if we use the Google form, why just we ask them directly, and then we can have immediate responses during the interviews. So that's why I use qualitative one to ask the teachers. So we focus on the quantitative first, quantitative 量化先, okay? So what is the design options for evaluating the sport education model? So we can have different kinds of methods. So the upper one can generate a more causal inference of the results, but the lower one can have a more visible plan. Okay. Let's start with the below one. So it's just a pre-post within a single program. What I mean is we have an intervention program. We collect data before the intervention and after the intervention. This is what we call pre-post. Okay, we can just compare the pre-post differences to see the students is improving or the results is increasing or decreasing. Yeah, this is more visible. Okay, but you may think, oh, just comparing the students is better. Does not mean we didn't compare if they don't do any other things, okay, or the control group. So it's simple and lower cost, but there are too many covariates in the design, and that's why we are easier to do. It's visible, but for the causal inference is we are hardly to measure about the causal relationship. So the middle one, quasi-experimental designs, 準實驗設計, more realistic one, we can still compare pre-post and also compare the intervention and control group. Okay, we have different kind of quasi-experimental settings, but there should be a stronger assumptions, but we need to consider the methods and also we have to justify why we invite the participants, because there may be some bias when we inviting others. Okay, and the last one, the more so if we use this is like the top one research method in psychology, in every kind of studies. We call it randomized control trial, 隨機實驗設計，係啦，隨機實驗設計。So and I also mentioned cluster. I use cluster randomized control trial, but if it's in randomized control trial, it's everything in random. So we randomly select participants and who do the randomization is not myself, but use the third party to help me to randomize the sample. And you may also heard about single blind, double blind things. Is about the randomized control trial. So it can reduce the selection bias and clear the counterfactual factor. And but the logistic one is quite difficult because we have to also use other manpower to do the randomization or design the and also do the research design. Is a very complicated things to reduce the bias. So it's quite difficult for you to do the randomized control trial in your undergraduate studies or final year project or or thesis things. But I think quasi-experimental is quite feasible for you. Yeah. And why I mentioned contamination across lectures, because I use cluster. So the lecturers may discuss how can they teach better, like peer reflection during the intervention. So there may be some contamination，即係可能會有啲中間都係會有一啲limitation 喺度嘅，即係如果用 cluster 嘅話。But if we use randomized control trial like other study, not behavioral study, not psychology studies, if we in the laboratory and do some blood tests or like currently we are quite often to do some HIIT, exercise snacks and sedentary behavior studies. Some of them they use randomized control trial. So yeah, in the laboratory setting, it's more easier to do LCT. Yeah. So the decision rule is prefer designs that create a credible comparison and measure fidelity. You can use any methods, but you should justify your choice based on what? Based on previous studies. Yeah. So you have to read papers. Yeah, read more papers, and then you know how other researchers conduct how they conduct this research, and then you can decide what you can do in your studies. So justifiable, and yeah. And the choices. So measurement choices. So I did quite a lot measurements in my study, and how to make it feasible, valid, and consistent. So we use validated scales where possible. So I don't prefer design the questionnaire yourself. Yeah, just use some validated. Yeah, like if you design the questionnaire yourself, you have to increase your workload yourself, and you can just use some validated scales. But some questionnaires if you can only find the English version, and how can we validate it in our context, in our populations? There are some methods, but you can also, if you found some English version of the questionnaires, try to find some questionnaires that validated in Hong Kong or Chinese population. That is quite feasible. Yeah, but if you use validated scales, then your studies probably increase the credibility or reliability and validity. Yeah, and I combine self-report and objective indicators when feasible. Like the behavioral outcomes, the daily physical activity. I use self-report questionnaire and also the accelerometer to find some subsample to cross-check the physical activity outcome, and include observational measures, learning environment, and fidelity. This is about the process outcomes. I videotape every lessons, like 10 weeks, in 16 classes each week. So I video record, and then I code each 10 seconds what they did in each 10 seconds. So at the time, but yeah, it is still using manual observation. We are hardly to use AI at this moment, and I was figuring out how can we use AI to help me to code, but it's quite difficult because of the technology. Yeah, it's quite difficult to do AI observation. If we use a gymnasium settings, it's still quite difficult because of the lighting of the gymnasium. It may affect the AI to decide what they are doing in the lesson. So it's quite difficult. So there are also sport education model fidelity benchmarks. So I can check how teachers what the teachers do and I do take to check what they did in each phrases, so I can cross-check as a process outcomes. Back to the scales, I use some validated scales in motivation, enjoyment, and physical literacy. So this is choices I made for the measurements, and yeah, and you can think about how your questions, okay, if you use quantitative methods, how can it measure? Yeah. And for the statistics, so we can see how many people was invited and joined in the intervention, and what is the mean, standard deviation, and largest as SD means larger variability among participants. The p-value does not indicate importance. So if you see the results p smaller than 0.05, oh, then it's significance. But that really means importance. Just the results may probably meets the assumptions, okay? And we can check the confidence interval, and the narrower confidence interval means more precise estimates, and also the effect size. It is quite, there are many effect sizes we can check, like Cohen's d, like partial eta square, but we can see the effect size, like actually you can Google what is means by interpreting data, the results, like when we use Cohen's d, like smaller than 0.2 it means small effect size, okay? Smaller than 0.5 means moderate, and smaller than 0.x mean large. So what it means, like moderate means like likely worthwhile in practice, and if it is large, strong practical impact. So we can use the effect size to decide is it really matters for your intervention. Yeah. But there are some threats for the quantitative approaches. So like there are some confounding factor, not really about your intervention that help students to increase or decrease to the student outcomes, okay? And there may be some measurement bias, but I solve this. I use accelerometer to help triangulate the self-reported data, maybe the cluster issues, the contamination I mentioned about, and the missing data, or the attrition. Attrition means I drop out. They may quit the intervention. And there are some threats about in the quantitative studies, as we invite too many participants. I remember I invited like 400 students in my study, so it's a quite large sample size in the settings. So there are some threats, and that's why we need to use qualitative studies. Yeah, and for the qualitative questions, the question is, how do lecturers conceptualize physical literacy and the potential of the sport education model in developing it? And the second question is, what factors influence the pedagogical shift from teacher-centered to student-centered delivery? So there's the two questions, but how can we collect data to solve these two questions? Okay, I use the interviews, like 30 to 60 minutes interviews. It's a semi-structured one, so I prepare some questions based on the theory, okay, like physical literacy, and also some previous study. They ask some questions, and I take it as a reference, and then I ask similar questions to see the mechanism. And then there are also focus group interviews for member checking. But this one is we have to aware about the confidentiality. So it matters. It really matters because in our research, we focus on the ethics. So when we conduct interviews, and also we video audio taped. So these are some data that we are easy to leak out. Like we have to do our data security well, and also protect the participants themselves. And because they share their experience to us, we can't let them let their information just publish elsewhere. Yeah, it's about the ethics. And we can ask because I observed the lessons at that time, and after the lesson I would ask the teachers to what they think after the lesson, so I can take some field notes, observation field notes, and also the post-session reflection. And because I also videotape the lessons, that's why I can see what they did in the lessons. And also I check their lesson contents, check their curriculum documents, everything, and do the triangulation. So I have these kind of data source to help me to analyze the results. And I use the purposive sampling because I want to include gender, try to equal the gender, try to invite less experience and more experience, try to include the lecturers teaching team sports or individual sports, and they are continuing professional development exposures. Like they participated some workshops, but the attendance rate can be different. So I invite some lower attendance rates or higher attendance rate, and there may be some differences between their perspective. And this is my and also the logic and rationale is to try to maximize the variation of the participants, and to see if their perspective is the same or different. But how can we translate themes or theory or the results? And if you are doing undergraduate studies, you can easier thematic analysis，即係演繹同歸納。即係如果你即係細個中學讀過嗰啲中文，即係中文堂，其實最簡單就係或者係咪仲有通識堂啊？嗰陣時即係演繹或者歸納呢啲就係最簡單嘅一啲方法咯。OK，thematic analysis，歸納就係將嗰啲人講過嘅嘢歸納成一個 point，就係一個 theme 啦。OK，so it's just thematic analysis. So read or listen the recording or the transcribe repeatedly, and then you familiarize the contents, and then do some coding. Coding means you highlight some things and then mark some looks, and then generate some themes using different codes. It's just like you need to conclude the contents of their interviews wordings into theme. So when you like generate like 3 themes, 2 to 3 themes, you can review and refine the themes. and check against the data if they match, and if there are any disconfirming cases. And I think the disconfirming cases is quite important because it is like a counter argument for your results. Like we write a paper, we write the discussion, we usually or write a manuscript or even write sentences. Like we usually contain some topic sentences, arguments, counter arguments, and also conclusion. So and when we seek the disconfirming cases, it's quite important for you to do the counter argument. Yeah. And also to ensure themes are coherent and distinct. Anything is the same, any participants, their contents are the same or different. You can do some comparison and define, name, and report. So the definition of each theme, the illustrative quotes you can quote, you can use their direct quotes in your paper, and also if your themes and their quotes are linked to the research questions. And what I mean is your research question, and then design your research method, and then your answer. Can the results solve your research questions? Is interlink about in each session. So final report. Yeah, but I use grounded theory. It's a more advanced data analysis method. But it's similar, like coding different procedures of coding, and then do some comparison. But then I generate a theory and as of typology. So I can explain how they change or how they decide when to use which method in the PE lessons. Yeah, and that's what I do. And so different analytic approaches, but it is the same goal, to have a credible presentation, interpretation of the results. Yeah. 哇，原來唔係好夠時間。係 Okay. So very important things, trustworthiness. Yeah, credibility is about do interpretation fit the data. So 可信度 okay. Dependability or confirmability. Is the process documented and transparent? 係咪透明嘅咧？即係咪可以俾人哋睇到你係做緊咩？係即係如果我問你嘅時候，你可以點樣去 confirm 到係真係有呢樣嘢嘅 ？OK。Confirmability. Okay. Transferability. Can it translate to other contexts? Okay. Triangulation, different sources. Use different sources to cross-check. And reflexivity. How does the researcher shape the study? You have to keep asking yourself if this study is fit in the context. Just keep reflect yourself, and also acknowledge yourself, your role. You are just a researcher, not the one who want to affect the curriculum or affect the environment. You have to keep yourself neutral. That's the reflexivity. And cross-language rigor. I conduct the interview in Cantonese, but I write in English. So it's about the translation and batch translation things. And audit trail, are the decisions traceable? Like you have to record your sampling decisions while you do the purposive sampling, while you do we can say snowball sampling, and track the coding and theme changes. You have to record everything, and member checking. When I finish the interviews, finish the data analysis, I need to ask the participants to check their transcript and also ask my supervisors or my colleagues to check if my analysis is suitable or not. Yeah, and that's the trustworthiness. Oh, and we still have some time to do some discussion, but we still have 10 minutes. And then do you have some groups? Okay, so in your groups, you can use like 2 to 3 minutes to discuss, do you have a research question in mind? And then we can quickly go through if what is the approaches, design, sample, procedures in like 5 minutes. And we can also discuss together. Like if you have a research question, we can discuss together. Okay, just a quick one. 不如咁，我哋而家即係因為討論，咁我哋用廣東話啦。咁你哋有做㗎嘛？自己好快，你哋自己有冇一個覺得係一個好好嘅問題？然後咧，你討論咗一個問題先，然後你就拎出嚟，咁我哋一齊討論，咁樣可以快啲，好唔好啊？好冇？好，2分鐘，而家52分，我俾2分鐘你哋，超快。即係咧就係想你哋而家你啱啱問咗你哋第5個禮拜啊嘛，咁你最後要交功課啊嘛，咁你哋咪就係開始要諗定你哋而家有咩問題，然後呢個問題咧可唔可以真係 feasible 做唔做到呢樣嘢咯？我諗你哋都係做個 proposal 出嚟啫，係啦，通常都係咁咯。OK， 大家有冇一啲問題係我覺得係唔係即係你哋覺得係哇呢個問題一定要問嘅？有啊，即係你就講你哋而家想做啲乜嘢，我哋就即刻討論，可唔可以做咯？係啊，即係你問我問題咧，其實我係會問翻你問題嘅，即係我唔會答你嘅，其實係啊係啊係啊係啊，嚟啊，係啊，可以噶啦，邊一組問邊一組問邊一組問。唔會加你分嘅，但係咧可能會幫到你係咪真係做到一份真嘅功課出嚟咯？係啊，係啊，係。
我哋想研究嗰個 heart rate 會唔會影響，即係籃球我哋想研究，我哋想影響個 heart rate 會唔會影響到嗰個人嘅投籃進程度，即係喺唔同區間嘅 heart rate 入邊。
咁你點樣去嗱？咁你係 quantitative 定 qualitative 啊咩啊 ？quantitative 係咪左邊定右邊啊？左邊啊嘛，quantitative 係啦。咁嗱，因為你 heart rate 呢樣嘢就係要用 quantitative 去量度噶嘛。OK，咁呢樣嘢已經解決到啦。咁第3樣啦，就係個 design 啦。咁你會去點樣 design 咧？即係個 study。咁你係嗱，你會點 design 啊？即係嗱，你係度 heart rate 啊嘛，跟住度佢射罰球啊嘛。咁你會係點樣去 design 呢個 令到你可以得出到一啲數據出嚟咧？Heart rate variability 啊嘛，咁你會用好啦，咁我哋唔用 design 諗住先，咁你會用咩 measure 先？心跳帶，OK，咁個心跳帶就一路帶住啦。咁你帶呢度啊，定係帶心口呢只啊？即係帶胸口下面嗰個，胸口下面嗰個。OK，咁你就係咁佢一路帶住啊嘛，咁佢就射罰球係咪啊？咁射罰球咁樣即係話你呢個 study design 就會係咪一次性收嘅 data，定係會收好多次嘅 data？收幾次？咁點解要收幾次啊？點解要收幾次咧？定係點解要收一次？即係你要解釋到呢啲嘢咯。
因為可能一次佢個數據會唔準確，係咁啱嗰日嘅，即係狀態同 heart rate 唔太 relate 到。咁如果我收集我當可能3次咁樣，咁我可以攞個平均數出嚟，就可以更加準確咁去得出個 heart rate 同個準程度係咪有關係。
要睇呢個問題係乜嘢啦？要睇呢個問題係啲乜嘢？即係你個問題係問個 heart rate variability during shooting free fall 嘛？咁你就係話你射罰球嘅時候，佢嗰個人嘅心跳，可能射波之前佢個心跳會跳快咗，射完波之後咧，個心跳會慢翻嘅喎，係即係可能我唔知你個 assumption 係啲咩啦，因為有咁，所以咧你就係要諗究竟你個 design 係啲咩？但係如果你啱啱話我做完一次，做完第二次，做完第三次咁樣去睇，咁但係咧呢個就會可能會引發到另一個問題出嚟喎，即係呢個就係關於個 test reliability 啦。咁當然啦，呢個亦都可以包埋入去你嘅 research design 入邊，就係話我呢個 study 係會有埋呢個 test reliability，然後去增加你嘅成個 design 嘅 rigor 咯，即係夠唔夠強咯，即係要睇呢個問題係啲咩。但係咧又有機會係因為你呢個 retest，即係你做咗好多次，然後咧其他人會心諗點解你要做咁多次？點解唔係做一次就得咧？即係要睇下你嘅問題係啲乜嘢咯。係啦，係啊，係通常有個問題之後咧，就會有一連串無限咁多個問題噶啦。咁所以你就要去諗究竟你嘅問題係啲乜嘢，然後係咪可行咯？係咯，procedure 嗰度而家諗就都要啲時間嘅。咁但係就係你要諗清楚你個問題究竟係啲咩，咁你就可以參考下之前嘅人有冇做過啦。跟住又要再諗就係之前嘅人有冇做過之後咧，咁你又做嚟做咩？如果之前啲人做咗，係啦，即係呢個又係另一個 feasible 嘅問題啦。應該好多人做過嘅，不過係啦，唔係不過 OK 嘅 proposal，同埋係一個經驗嚟，即係你每做一個都係一個經驗嚟嘅，係啊，係，有冇另一個問題？好嚟啊！嗱，我又試下問翻你問題啦，之後係嚟啊！
想問下我哋想做嘅係提升咗最大嘅肌力啦，對於銀髮族運動表現嘅影響咯。
big question，big question 嚟喎，呢個幾得意喎，呢個幾得意喎，呢個銀髮族咁啊講多次即係當一個 RM 啦，係嘛？
係 1RM 或者係咯幾 RM 嗰啲咯。
跟住咧對
銀髮族嘅運動表現，
點解係運動表現咧？
或者係可能一個身體嘅 improvement 咯，即係睇下
係啦，通常就係
方向
health，即係通常係 health 嗰樣嘢啦。咁但係嗱 health 都有好多 indicator 噶嘛。咁我第一個問題就會問你，一個 RM 究竟同 health indicator 嘅關係係啲乜嘢啦？即係或者嗰個應該係話再簡單啲，唔一定係 1RM，就係 muscular strength 肌力，同埋肌力係會同啲乜嘢同啲咩 health indicator 有關係？咁
本身係諗住可能係一啲 joint 或者係 skeletal 嘅好處咯，即係如果做 1RM 嘅時候，佢係可以去即係 穩定咗你本身成個人嘅 structure 啦，但係都會有損傷，就係咁樣去諗。
嗱，如果通常咧，因為肌力咧同 health 係有關係，譬如肌力係 associate with lower 嘅 cardio morbidity 同 modality 先啦，即係發病率同埋死亡率啦，即係會肌力同呢兩樣係一定有關係先㗎啦。呢啲係 evidence base 嘅。咁然後就係、所有嘅長期病患嘅發病嘅機率都會下跌啦，cancer 發病機率都會下跌。即係你應該係要諗呢個方向先啦。第一，咁變咗你嘅 measure 第一樣嘢，即係我會諗 measure 先啦。咁諗 measure 你就係你點樣度嗰個 measure，即係度嗰個 strength 出嚟先啦。你可以用 1RM，可以用幾 RM。另外就係可以仲要睇啲咩？如果睇 health 嘅話，即係你啱啱講嘅其中一個係骨骼肌關節嗰啲。咁但係你點樣 measure 呢啲咧？定係即係你如果要去 measure 呢啲嘢，即係或者我 measure health 嗰啲嘢，你應該係會用咩嘅方法去 measure 咧？
對比，即係 test 前後咯，或者係兩 group 人咯。
咦，咁即係你係做 intervention 嘅喎，係咪啊？即係做一個實驗，即係做一個或者 experimental 嘅嘢，即係你 say 做8個禮拜咁樣，你個問題係咁樣，OK，咁即係話你嘅問題你就要改個問題嘅咯喎。你嘅本身個問題係咩話？
提升最大嗰個肌力對於銀髮族嘅即係 health
健康
嗰個係咯，健康
OK
有咩影響咯？
咁即係話，
即係可能會 combine，因為攞咗最大肌力出嚟，可能因為其實佢 gym 有好多唔同嘅
我明
方向，咁可能會有普通做 gym 同埋做 1RM。
咁你就要去諗下點樣去改個問題啦。因為咧，如果你係提升肌力先啦，提升肌力點樣影響銀髮族嘅咩健康啊？OK，咁我就會簡單少少去諗咯。我就會諗我個肌力係我 measure 嘅嘢，係因為肌力本身已經同其他嘅健康嘅 indicator 係有相關嘅㗎嘛。咁所以咧，我就會 measure 嗰個肌力多啲。咁然後我就會話一個8個禮拜嘅一個肌力訓練點樣影響佢哋嘅肌力咯？咁樣會唔會簡單啲啊？咁我就可以睇嗰個 quasi experimental 或者係 intervention 嗰個轉變咯。
OK，
係
係
係啊，真係明晒。喂，講埋答案啊嘛，梗係明啦。last 一個，last 一個，last 一個。
我想問下，如果我想做嘅 topic 係一啲 elderly 啦，咁佢係同啱啱嗰組差唔多嘅，不過就係講緊係大概60、70歲，咁佢係做一個overcome 嘅 isometric，咁會對佢個overall 嘅 health，即係例如 bone density 啊，或者個 neural 會有咩 adaptation 呢一類嘅 topic，即係 overall 嘅 health 會唔會有改變？但我諗緊嘅嘢係點樣做 data collection 咯，
係咯，就係個 feasible 問題啊！你問埋自己啦，係啦，問埋自己，係啊。
我已經講我就係唔知點樣可以做呢樣嘢。
第一下我就係諗，哇！你講咗好多嘢喎，咁究竟 feasible 個問題咯？係啊，所以你就要諗點樣去將個問題變得簡單啲咯。你啱啱個問題咧都未係啊，未 narrow down，即係好闊。你講咗好多個 variable 出嚟，但係究竟點樣可以令到你去問到一個好簡單嘅問題？我啲問題其實就係、我度唔度到 physical activity，即係 how sport education model affect physical activity level，就係咁簡單。
即係將個 topic 變做簡單，唔好將件事搞到咁複雜。
係啊
，OK，
因為一個問題就係一個答案啊嘛。
OK，
你個問題本身已經有好多可以有好多答案嘅時候，咁你咪諗唔到你邊個答案先係重點咯。係啊，所以其實我哋諗方法之前，其實係諗咗問題先咯。係啊，係啊。嗱，譬如啊，我自己 undergrad 嗰個 final year project 咧，即係我哋係 final year project 啊，嗰陣時叫好簡單嘅啫。欖球運動員，即係大學生嗰啲啦，業餘嗰啲啦。佢如果喺仿真草同埋草地，會唔會影響佢嘅 speed 同埋 agility？冇啦，完咗啦，就係咁咯。講完，跟住就普通 一組人就喺草地，一組人就喺防真草，去比較佢哋嘅40米 sprinting、set run 同埋 L run 完咗啦 ，T test 做完，我嗰陣時咁樣做完啦，係啊。係啊，即係簡單啲，即係有一個問題好簡單就得㗎啦。咁但係點解？但係咁當然啦，呢個只係 final year project 嘅水平咯。即係我嗰陣時嗰個就係 final year project 水平。但係點樣去問到一個簡單嘅問題，就會有個簡單嘅答案咯。係啦，即係我就係超低成本，超低成本，但係就做到個 final year project 出嚟咯。咁可能係我 supervisor 好嘅。係啦，咁係咯，咁就隨時都可以 send email 問 Doctor Clock 嘅，咁同埋問我都得嘅，問我都得嘅，即係 send email 問我都得。咁最後咧，我都想賣一個廣告啊。咁咧就係即係我知道你哋都讀緊undergrad 啦。咁即係如果將來有機會想升學嘅話咧，都可以即係澳門大學都會有一個 MPhil 嘅 program，咁就係做研究嘅。即係如果你哋真係好有興趣做研究，咁都可以去試下去讀 MPhil 或者之後 PhD 都得嘅，係咯。咁就再次多謝東華學院同埋 BU 嘅邀請。Thank you，多謝大家出席。
Right. Thank you, Dr. Choi, for a very insightful sharing and a very interactive seminar today. And I'm sure you got some basic ideas about the differences between the qualitative one and the quantitative one. And it's time for you to think about the next step for preparing your honors project or the students' research project. So, yes, Ming, would you please join me for giving another round of applause to Dr. Choi again?